D2 Word Life here with the biggest testicle Riptides.
No. I'm very sorry, but he is the biggest testicle fan because he loves Tess.
No. I wasn't the biggest Test fan in the world, even though he was an underrated big man who should have had more in his career before he passed, but that's another story for another day. Right? But yeah, anyway, today we are reviewing the 2003 Unforgiven, and I swear to God, I'm going to try to make this review shorter than the freaking dang Bad Blood review that we did last week. That was too much getting off topic and going spot for spot unintentionally, but mostly going off topic. A lot. But anyway, this event took place on September 21st, 2003 in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Giants Center with an attendance of 10,347 fans. And the commentators for this event were Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, who we'll be talking about later on. And the worst match of this card. And the ring announcer was Lily Garcia. When I picked this event, I totally forgot about that match.
Oh, I knew you forgot about it. That's why I didn't say nothing. And then you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, and then when I all of a sudden hear them at the start talking about it, I'm like, God damn it, it's that event. I totally forgot about it. Oh, yeah, and before we talk about the matches, special shout out to the Sunday Night Heat match, which saw current YouTube podcaster Maven defeat current YouTube podcaster Steven Richards.
Yes.
Funny how that worked.
He beat old White Sox himself.
Yes. Funny how that worked out, right?
Well, at least he wasn't right to censor.
Oh, God. That group sucked. Even you admit that one. We don't want to talk about RTC unless we're reviewing an event that involves RTC. I don't want to talk about them. They sucked as a group. Anyway, we see the opening video hyping this event up, talking about hyping up the Triple H Goldberg main event plus the Shane McMahon Kane Last Man Standing event. Or, match, right?
Yeah.
And then we go to the opening pyro. Pyro, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler introduced us to the show and pretty much said they were going to be getting into action themselves later on in the show, and that's when it hit me. Oh God, this was the battle of the commentators, wasn't it? Yep. But we didn't start off with that match, thank God. We started off with the handicap tables match for the World Tag Team Championships. It was the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, taking on the World Tag Champions, La Resistance, which was Sylvain Grenier, Rene Dupree, and Rob Conway, who was a French sympathizer character at this point, joining the La Resistance group.
Well, first it was supposed to be a six-man tables match, but they injured Spike Dudley.
Oh, and let's talk about that. That was part of the build-up to this show. Spike Dudley took looked like a freaking flapjack out of the ring from the La Resistance members. They chucked him outside the ring, and this was 2 weeks prior to this event on Raw. They chucked him out of the ring, and only the back of his head smacked the table, and he went onto the ground in one of the worst fucking spots.
It wasn't a flap. It was a back body drop.
Or it was back body drop.
What it was.
And Spike only nailed the back of the edge of the table.
He was lucky he over-rotated.
Yeah. I mean, either way, that looked nasty. And that looked like it was devastating.
Got seriously injured, because that was the back. It would have been the back of the neck instead of the back of the head.
Yeah, that looked devastating, and that looked painful. But I remember hella years later, like over 20 years later, Spike Dudley even revealed himself. He was like, yeah, that didn't hurt very much despite it looking painful. And I'm like, how? How? It looked like you cracked the back of your head on the table and the ground. Right?
Yeah, no, like I said, he over rotated.
Yeah.
He was lucky he did.
Yeah, and then freaking. But yeah, since Spike was out, this was made a handicap tables match. And Steve
then
Austin
Eric Bischoff, and then Stone Cold made it for the
tag team
titles.
Made it for the world tag titles. Yeah, and the match started off, typical back and forth. There were tags back in, but let's not talk about the statistics. The real reason why people want to talk about this match or wanted to see this match was the table spots, right? And at first, a lot of resistance put Devon through the table. Of course, he was still eligible to compete in the match. This wasn't an elimination for him, obviously.
Yep.
And then a little later on, I think it was Silver and Grenier who went through a table next.
Yes. Well, it was Rob Conway, then Grenier.
And then Dupree. Well, Rob Conway went through the table next, meaning it was a 2-1, right? To go through the table.
Yes.
And then a little later on, Silver and Grenier got the same treatment that would happen to Spike. When friggin' the Dudleys power bombed him, threw him out of the ring through a table in the back of his head cracked on a table that was next to the table he went through.
Yeah, that looked nasty.
Yeah. And then which left friggin' Rene Dupree and Bubba Ray Dudley being the only two left. One of those men had to go through the table for this match to end. And it looked like Dupree was on his way to try to friggin' put Bubba Ray through the table, but then Devon freaking stopped him, so he tried to freaking batter Devon down, but Devon reversed it, and the Dudleys nailed a 3D on Dupree through the table, thus giving the Dudleys the win in the World Tag Team titles.
Yep.
And I know I didn't go through a whole lot of details, I just went through the table spots, but what else can I say in a tables match, right?
Yep.
But besides that, what were some spots that stood out to you in this match?
La Resistance got their ass beat.
Yes. And ain't that ironic? Last week we reviewed the event where La Resistance won the titles, and now this week we reviewed the event where they lost the titles.
Yes.
So yeah, your thoughts about this one here, like from start to finish?
Man, it was decent.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent opener, but I just felt like it could have used a little bit more time, but I'm not really nitpicking, especially with some of the matches that we got later on the card. Yeah, and then the next match we go to was Test and Scott Steiner, where if Test wins, he not only gets the managerial services of Stacy Keibler back, Scott Steiner becomes his property, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and let's talk about the build-up. They didn't even show a traditional build-up. Their build-up to this was a music video for the hype package for this match. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't care what you say, Suffocate by Cold was a banger.
Yeah.
And that's the song they used for the video package for this match.
Yep.
Oh, and I'll give Scott Steiner credit. Unlike the Bad Blood show, when the match started, he didn't fall off the apron and trip and fall on his ass. Going after Test this time. I think he learned. Am I right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, but then it was mostly back and forth at the start between Test and Scott Steiner, including Test freaking mocking Scott Steiner with push-ups. By doing push-ups in the ring. Right? And even Jim Ross on commentary had to point out, yeah, it's Test. Scott Steiner can do tests. Or Scott Steiner can do fucking goddamn push-ups. So can I. I'm stronger than Scott Steiner. Yeah, right. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at one point, Test tried to nail a clothesline on the Steiner, but Steiner countered into a fallaway slam for a count of 1. And then a little later on, near the end of the matchup here, after and then we got to mention this. Test freaking tried to use a diving axe handle on Steiner, but Steiner reversed into a suplex. Doesn't those Steiner suplex gives you freaking flashbacks?
Yes.
Let's talk about near the end of the matchup here. Freaking Test brought a chair into the ring to nail Steiner with, but Stacy Keibler got inside the ring, and this was when the referee was already incapacitated at this point. Right?
Yeah.
So Keibler freaking took the chair. She tried to nail Test with it, but Test ducked, and Stacy accidentally nailed Steiner in the head with the chair. Right?
Yep.
Which then Test freaking did that whole mocking laugh saying, look what you did. You caused this. Thank you. Right? Which allowed Test to execute a running big boot, his finisher, for like a second time. Because, the first time he nailed it on Steiner kicked out. But the steel chair shot and the second big boot to the face was enough to keep Scott Steiner down for a 3 count. And Test won this match. Thus, meaning that Test not only had the managerial services of Stacy Keibler again, but Scott Steiner was also his, quote, property.
Yeah.
Imagine Scott Steiner, the big bad booty daddy, and all the Steiner math as your property. You'd be learning a lot of freaking Steiner math. You'd be taking a lot of Steiner math lessons with that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And I'd be like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be like, well, you and your 33.5% chance, and then you add me, which adds another 55.5 chance.
What the fuck? And then at the very end, it's like, look at my favor. You add all my stuff up, then I have a 243% chance of winning. What the hell? Or something.
Exactly.
I would be like, what the hell? This doesn't even make any damn sense. It's like 2 + 2 = potato fish. No, that's Riptid's math. Right? Still, same thing.
King of the Ring 95 math for D2.
Oh, Jesus. We don't need to talk about that, but anyway, your thoughts on this, the second Test versus Steiner match that we reviewed here.
First encounter was better.
Yeah, I mean, there was shenanigans in the first one, but I'd say the first one's a little bit better than this one, but yeah. But that's not saying much. I really wasn't a big fan of the Test and Scott Steiner matches. You know what I mean? So I thought it was okay-ish, maybe under-delivered, but it was okay-ish. Right?
Yeah.
And then we go to the next match, which was billed as the first ever Legend versus Legend killer match, as it was Shawn Michaels taking on a young Randy Orton. Right? And this rivalry, they showed in the video package. I mean, this rivalry goes all the way back to Bad Blood when Orton cost Michaels the match against Ric Flair. And then Orton started his whole Legend killer gimmick. This is where it actually started from, by the way.
Yeah.
And then the video package ended with Michael saying, well, if you're going to use me as a stepping stone, you better step hard. And this was after he bitch slapped Orton. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, at the start of the match, both men were freaking, like, going at it. And Randy Orton, even at the age of 23, which he was at this point, proved that he was able to hang with a veteran like Shawn Michaels at this point. And that's impressive knowing how young in his career he actually was, right?
Yeah.
But at one point, Michaels tried to go for a sweet chin music, but Orton countered into an RKO, but Michaels kicked out at like 2. Right?
Yeah. You also forgot he had fucking Ric Flair on his side.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was 2003 Randy Orton. Everyone knows Evolution was running wild, so of course Orton had Ric Flair in his corner, right?
Yeah.
And there's been a couple times where Ric Flair tried to interfere in the match, only to be stopped, right? Like usually that goes for an Evolution match, right?
Yeah.
And if he did successfully interfere, it was because, the referee's back was turned. That's pretty much every Evolution match during this period, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Michaels at one point near the end was able to hit a sweet chin music on Orton. Got the visual 3 count, but right when the referee's counting 3, Flair put Orton's foot on the bottom rope, right? And right when Michaels thought he won it, the referee was distracted. When Michaels was like, no, you didn't win it. His foot was on the rope, despite Orton's foot clearly not being on the rope for a 3 count, right?
Yeah.
So Flair gave Orton a pair of brass knuckles, and then Flair got into the ring after the match restarted. For some reason I don't know, Michaels freaking performed the sweet chin music super kick on Flair, knocking him out. And then Michaels then grabbed freaking Orton, went to attempt a back suplex on Orton, but Orton just started repeatedly punching Michaels in the head with the brass knuckles, knocking Michaels out, and Orton got the pinfall win. Due to blatant use of brass knuckles here. Couldn't even pin Michaels clean in this first ever Legend versus Legend Killer match. So yeah, Orton got the win and Michaels got screwed. So your opinion on this one?
That's because Ric Flair threw in the fucking brass knuckles to Randy when he was distracting the ref, and Randy fucking hit Shawn Michaels in the fucking face.
Exactly. But yeah, your thoughts from this one, bell to bell.
It was a good match. A lot of interference, but a good match.
Yeah, I mean, Orton did kind of, at this time, Orton did freaking prove that he can hang with the veterans at this point. Like Shawn Michaels making Orton look good as well before the ending. But that ending, he was sour, but Orton at least had a little glimpse of, hey, I'm the future of this business. Which I remember hearing back then as a kid. They kept saying, Orton is the future of this business. I'm thinking, yeah, that's bullshit. And now looking back, Orton has a freaking 20-plus year career, and he's been constant, not even going to Hollywood, no nothing, fighting through injuries and everything. So I'm like, okay, they were kind of right back then to say that. Right?
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it felt more on average, maybe a little bit above average or something. Maybe a little bit below because of the brass knuckles being used. But what else can you expect from an Evolution match at this point? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Evolution back in the day was like the 4 Horsemen in WCW. That's what they were basing that stable off of.
Yeah.
At least with the dirty tactics. Anyway, we get to the next match, and I'm not even going to talk about backstage segments, otherwise this freaking review would be longer than really long here. We go to a women's tag match, or back then known as a Divas tag match. God, I hate that freaking term. And it was women's champion Molly Holly teaming up with Gail Kim to take on Trish Stratus and Lita. And this was Lita's first pay-per-view match since she returned from her broken neck injury.
Yeah.
That she had like a year prior that we talked about during the Backlash or Judgment Day review. That you would end up sustaining, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this match started off well with all 4 fighting each other at once, but then I think Trish Stratus and Gail Kim were the legal ones in the ring. Molly Holly gets attacked. She does some damage to Trish while Trish was trying to fight back. Molly Holly tagged back out, and this is the part of the match where I'm about to talk about that Molly Holly snuck up, freaking yanked Lita off the freaking like ring apron when Trish was trying to go for a tag. And I don't know if Lita cracked a tooth, chipped a tooth, or busted her lip, but she started bleeding from the mouth after smacking the ring apron.
I think she busted her lip.
Which the ring apron is the hardest part of the ring, obviously, so it's going to do some damage.
Yeah,
Right?
because it's just wood and metal.
Exactly. But eventually, Lita got that hot tag in. Was a house of fire here. And then Molly Holly ended up getting getting freaking thrown off the top rope from Trish Stratus, the little like move that she does in the turnbuckle, knocking him off the turnbuckle. Whatever that move's called again, where she knocks him off with like the Enziguri type move that she does, or not,
I don't know.
or the Hurricane Rana type move that she does. I don't remember the name of that. I know somebody's gonna. I'm gonna look this up later, and I'm gonna feel stupid, right?
I have no clue.
But whatever. Trish knocks freaking Molly Holly off the freaking top turnbuckle. Lita goes up to the top turnbuckle herself and then performs a moonsault on Molly Holly to get the pinfall win. So yeah, Trish Stratus and Lita were the winners of this match. I know I'm gonna look up freaking one of Trish's signature moves and realize that's it. But I just
I know she hit her with the chick kick and Stratisfaction.
Yeah. But either way,
Stratisfaction is the
is that bulldog
off the top rope.
I know, but the move I'm talking about is when she knocks her opponents off the top rope with like with her signature Hurricane Rana type move. I don't remember what the name of that is.
I don't know.
I don't even know if that move has a name, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But either way, Lita pinned Molly Holly following a moonsault to win this match. Your thoughts on this one?
It was good.
Was it a decent? Was it an all right women's tag match for the time? Yes. Could it stand up to women's wrestling today? No. That's just the way I feel, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, when it comes to these women's matches from back in the day, I gotta lower my freaking expectations back to that time period. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, up next we get to the match I think is the match of the night, obviously, and the reason why I picked Unforgiven to review this week. And that was a last man standing match between Kane and Shane McMahon. And during the video package to this match, hey, speaking of testicles, this is the one that had the feud with Shane McMahon getting his little Shane McMahon's fried by Kane with a car battery, as we all know, right?
Yes.
And this was like a week after freaking Shane McMahon kicked Kane into a flaming dumpster.
Yep.
And then Shane McMahon kept mocking Kane and having Kane chase him around the arenas, saying that no matter where you are, Kane, I'll still be coming after you regardless. Pretty much trying to play the where did you go game. Right?
Yep.
With Kane, just like he did with the Big Show years prior. Right? So yeah, Kane made his freaking entrance, started making his entrance, and this was when Kane debuted his topless look. It's just his long tights look, by the way. Just a little FYI. And when Kane was on his way to get in the ring, Shane McMahon came from behind and attacked Kane with a steel chair on the entrance ramp. And the referee just like, fuck it, and just started ringing the bell anyway. This is a last man standing, where the only way to win is to knock your opponent out to the point where they can't answer the ref's 10 count. Right?
Well, technically, Shane didn't really have to. They didn't really have to ring the bell because it was technically already going.
Yeah, basically. And of course, Kane tried to push Shane McMahon away to avoid another chair shot. But Shane McMahon nailed Kane with multiple chair shots to the friggin' stomach and the knees. Right?
Yeah.
And Shane, when McMahon was pretty much targeting Kane's knees and legs in general at the start, which in a last man standing match, that's actually a good strategy because, well, if your opponent has injured freaking legs, they can't stand. Am I right?
Yeah.
So that was actually a smart strategy, but it was all for naught because Kane came back and put Shane back down. And he was actually going for a big boot on Shane at one point, but Shane moved out of the way, and Kane accidentally nailed the referee in the face, right?
Yep.
And Kane gave that menacing look like, well, shit happens, right? And even Jim Ross on commentary was like, Kane doesn't care about one person. He doesn't care about the fans. You think he cares about kicking a poor defenseless referee in the face? Nope. Right. Oh yeah, and before I go to the next one, I forgot to tell you, this feud originally started when Kane tombstoned Linda McMahon on the friggin' stage on Raw.
Yes. And Shane McMahon wanted revenge.
So yeah, that's where this feud came out. I should have mentioned that before I started going into the match, but there you go. All right. But speaking of tombstone, Kane attempted to freaking tombstone Shane McMahon into the steel steps, but Shane, and this was after freaking like Kane was taunting McMahon, saying, "Hey, you want to see your mom?" and all that shit, playing mind games. But here's another big spot, and the steel steps I'm talking about, they're not the top step; they were the heavy bottom steps that they were using. McMahon freaking bulldog Kane into the steps, and then freaking Kane was out in the corner. Shane McMahon positioned the steel steps in front of Kane and performed the coast to coast on the Kane. Right?
Yep.
Which knocked them both down, but since there was no referee, there was no one to count at this point, right?
Yeah.
And right when Shane was starting to stir, Kane got back up and just dumped the heavy steps on Shane's head, knocking him down again while getting up. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, we're skipping ahead a bit because, I'm not going to go spot for spot what happened, but another freaking good spot was Shane McMahon and Kane were like battling in the area where the Spanish announce table was, like on the entrance ramp up there, or the entrance way up there. And Kane freaking had Shane McMahon on his shoulders. I remember this briefly. Kane had Shane McMahon on his shoulders, rammed his head into the side of into the front of the Spanish announce table right there that was propped up on the stage. And with Shane McMahon down, Kane went up onto the stage, cleared the Spanish announce table off, and proceeded to try to dump the Spanish announce table off the stage onto Shane McMahon. And then, all of a sudden, Kane went back down there to look at the damage he caused, but Shane wasn't there, and Shane crept up from behind and nailed Kane again with more weapon shots. All right. And then Shane took the boom camera, freaking nailed Kane in the head with it, and the freaking boom camera lens ended up hitting the freaking overturned table, cracking the lens too. Right?
Yeah.
And then they showed a replay of it, and Jerry Lawler was like, "God damn, it's a $50,000 camera." Right?
Yeah.
And then freaking Shane took a bunch of freaking cables, choked Kane out. Tried to choke Kane out while getting back up on the stage area right there. And then Shane McMahon took one of the monitors from the table and knocked Kane out with it by smashing into Kane's head. Right?
Yeah.
And then Shane McMahon thought to himself, what am I going to do to put Kane down for this 3 count? Or this 10 count, I should say. Right? So Kane was
I'm going to jump off the damn Titantron.
Yeah, so Shane freaking climbed up a set of ladders that was on the side of the Titantron, climbs all the way on top of it, and did a leap of faith off the Titantron and fell roughly 25 feet down, and he didn't hit Kane. Kane moved out of the way, and Shane McMahon went right through the floor.
Yes.
He went splat through the floor and created a big-ass hole, knocking himself out of the equation. And that's when the referee started his 10 count, and Kane was able to get back up to his feet before the refs freaking reached 10, and obviously Shane McMahon was knocked out, so he couldn't get up. So Kane won this matchup, and then after the match, Shane McMahon had to be stretchered out of the arena. Your thoughts on this one?
It was a match, I can tell you that.
It was obvious. To me, this was the best match of this show. And it was insane. And Shane McMahon is insane. Who the hell does that stuff? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Shane McMahon's always been insane, but she's. I mean, who the hell wrestles in a no DQ match like this, looks up at the Titantron after the stage is freaking like completed before the event and thinks to himself, you know what? I want to jump off that. Like, what?
It's like, and this is before Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Before he started, Jeff Hardy's dude did those insane stunts that we would see later.
Yes.
So, yeah, my thoughts on this match, I thought it was the best match of the night, and it was the most violent match of the night.
Let's just say it was a match. It wasn't. It was a brawl. It was just. Fuck the match.
It was just mostly an out of control, riotous brawl, which is what this was. All right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it was the best match or fight of the night or brawl of the night, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And of course, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about backstage segments, but I kind of quickly have to talk about this one here that I remember that happened after the Shane and Kane match. We see Steve Austin in the back, in his freaking like GM office or locker room, whatever. And there was Chris Jericho standing there saying, see, there you go. Months ago you wanted a monster. Well, you got a monster there. Another life was ruined. Talking about Shane McMahon there, right?
Yeah.
And this was during the time. And then Steve Austin got up in Jericho's face and said, you know what? If you have a problem with me, you know what to do. And he goes, Jericho was like, no, I'm not going to play your game. Because this was during the time period when the only way Austin can attack people is if freaking he got physically provoked, which that was a stupid storyline, but it all led to Survivor Series anyway. Right?
Yeah.
And Jericho goes, no, I'm not going to hit you because there's other ways to make you crack, and I will make you crack and lose your mind. That will be important for later. That's why I brought it up. Right?
Yep.
But speaking of Chris Jericho, the next match that we're about to talk about was for the Intercontinental Championship. It was your favorite Intercontinental Champion Christian defending against Chris Jericho and Rob Van Dam in a triple threat match.
Nope.
I mean, hell, we all know back then you were a peep.
No, we all know you were.
I mean, hell, you were happy that Christian took the coward's way out in the last review that we did last week.
No, that was you yet again.
And of course, at the start, there was a lot of double teaming with Jericho and Christian teaming up on Van Dam back and forth because, those two set a pact saying we're going to take out Van Dam. And you got to realize at the time they were on and off, Christian and Jericho were on and off tag team partners. So them teaming up against the face or the good guy, Rob Van Dam, really wasn't something that I didn't expect, but it seemed like throughout this match, every time Van Dam tried to freaking pick up some momentum, he was always getting knocked out or knocked down by either Jericho or Christian. Right?
Yep.
Until freaking Jericho and Christian went at each other because they couldn't decide who would get the pinfall win over Van Dam. Obviously, what happens in these triple threat matches when you got two heels teaming up for a long ass time, which gave Van Dam an opening to get freaking Christian down when Jericho was on the outside of the ring. And near the other match, Jericho went for that 5-star frog splash, but Christian, who brought the Intercontinental Championship in the ring, was able to freaking reverse Van Dam's frog splash, and Van Dam nailed nothing but championship belt, which freaking knocked Van Dam out to allow Christian to pin Van Dam with a roll-up, with a surprise roll-up, the most devastating move in sports entertainment to get the pinfall win, while Jericho was on the outside of the ring. Right? Now, I didn't go through this spot for spot, obviously. That's just a summary of this match. You're going to have to watch yourself to get all the spots, but your thoughts on this one, because I feel like this was an underrated triple threat match that hardly anyone ever talks about.
It was good. Well, Jericho fucking knocked Rob Van Dam off the ring, and then which caused Christian to get hit in his peeps.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. So Jericho, I remember that. I forgot it. I forgot about it. I remember it. So at one point, Jericho was unintentionally addicted to Christian's peeps.
Yeah, he was
Basically.
wearing. Luckily, he was wearing the peeps cup.
Oh shit. Yeah. God damn it. The Peeps Cup. Are you serious, bro? I never heard it put quite like that. I know JR even said that, but hearing it from you, that's just hilarious. Ugh.
Did you do the peeps in the shape of a cup?
I don't want to know. I don't want to visualize what a Peeps Cup would look like.
It's just a bunch of marshmallow peeps in the shape of a cup.
We all know what a peep is. It's not a fan of Christian. It's a fucking little yellow marshmallow birds that you get at Easter time. For fuck's sake.
Well, also Halloween, because they have Halloween shaped ones.
You'd be using that as a freaking cup. You'd be like, oh, this is sticky.
Well, Jericho was probably thinking that, no, Christian was probably thinking that if he was wearing one.
Exactly. My point. Right. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the semi-main match, which, fuck me. Why do I have to talk about this match? Why do I gotta talk about this match? I totally forgot about this match, and this was, and I know you left, I know you were silent last week, and you remembered this match.
Yeah.
It was the Battle of the Commentators. It was the Sunday Night Heat commentators, which was Al Snow and the coach, Jonathan Coachman, taking on the Raw commentators and pay-per-view commentators, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. And this all came about when the coach turned heel on everyone, was starting issues with Jerry Lawler, but Al Snow came out and said, hey, coach, just leaving me, whatever. And then all of a sudden, Al Snow turned heel too, attacking freaking Lawler. And I think the reason that freaking Al Snow attacked Jerry Lawler and turning heel in the process, because he remembers the whole Head and Shoulders incident that he still didn't get revenge for. Right? And then, which led to this tag match set by Eric Bischoff, saying that it's going to be Al Snow and Jonathan Coachman taking on Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, and the winners of the match will be the freaking lead commentators for Raw. So I'm like, wow, okay. Of course, there was no commentary for this match because, well, the commentators were fighting each other. And I don't like commentary matches, commentator versus commentator matches. we had we reviewed a similar situation when we friggin' reviewed Jim Ross or Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole twice. God damn it! Right? And this match was slow as hell. I mean, the majority of the match was Al Snow and Jerry Lawler facing off and wrestling each other with their partners on the with their respective partners on the apron because, well, Al Snow and Jerry Lawler were the only two freaking like actual experienced wrestlers in this match, right? And even the crowd was shouting boring at some parts of this match. I don't blame them. And of course, Jonathan Coachman got the tag in. Freaking Jerry Lawler was beating on Jonathan Coachman. Everyone came alive and cheered that at least. And then Jim Ross got the tag. Jim Ross came in there, started just beating down Jonathan Coachman, freaking with the worst slaps ever and the worst punches ever, right? And of course, Jim Ross even admitted himself in the bill. I'm not a wrestler. I can't wrestle for a leg, but I'll fight your ass, right?
Yes.
And it showed, right?
Yes.
And then the referee was distracted with Lawler and Al Snow on the outside. And of course, you know what this match needed? Good old interference. That's what this crappy match needed.
This is fucking Jericho.
Yeah, and then Jericho came out. I think he nailed like an enziguri or a drop kick to Jim Ross, knocking Ross out, which allowed the coach to pin freaking Jim Ross, meaning Al Snow and Jonathan Coachman were now the commentators for Raw.
Yes. The two worst commentators that there ever was. Well, one of the worst. Al Snow was pretty decent. Jonathan Coachman sucked.
I'm sorry, but Michael Cole and Taz were a better freaking pairing. But they were the commentators on SmackDown at this point. But
now, just imagine Taz and Michael Cole versus Al Snow and Jonathan Coachman.
Oh God, don't even fucking try to fantasy book that. At least Al Snow and fucking Taz could fight each other. I mean, hell, they were both in ECW. I don't know who's worse, Michael Cole or Jonathan Coach. Okay, Michael Cole's worse than Coachman. At least the coach had some matches. Freaking Michael Cole, he had some matches, but those were all shit. All right. But yeah,
don't let him get wrong, guys. He would literally want to watch that so he can watch Michael Cole in his orange singlet.
No. Anyway, your thoughts on this commentators tag match?
It sucked.
I agree. Right. Still better than Sting versus Jeff Hardy for Victory Road 2011, but still, it sucked.
Yes.
Not by much when I say that, by the way. When you compare this match to the Hardy Sting match, this match that we just talked about was better, but not by much, by a little tiny small margin. Right?
Yep.
And of course, the backstory of this one is, I believe, Al Snow and John the Coachman were the commentators from Raw the next night, but 2 weeks later on Raw following this event, Jim Ross would end up taking on Jonathan Coachman in a country whipping match on Raw and actually defeated Jonathan Coachman to get to have him and Jerry Lawler reinstated as a color commentary team for Raw.
Yeah, because fucking Coachman and Al Snow kept fucking talking shit.
Exactly.
And Jonathan Coachman was trying to beat JR and fucking no one liked that.
Oh yeah, and Jericho did do a little interview afterwards, I have to mention, and this goes hand in hand with the backstage segment from earlier. He was asked why the hell he did that. Why the heck did he just interfere? And Jericho goes, tonight I may have not have freaking won the Intercontinental Championship, but I told you I was going to make Steve Austin crack, and I just cost his best buddy Jim Ross's job.
Yes.
Right? And then after the match, right before the main event, Jerry Lawler was like, and Jim Ross were talking about their loss, and they were like, according to the fans and the officials, it was Jericho who freaking cost us the match, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they were talking, and Jim Ross was talking like, this was it. This was his last match. This was their last freaking match they're going to commentate, which is the main event of this show. And they said they're going to freaking make it the best freaking match they ever commentated. Let's see how Al Snow and Coach follow this. They couldn't. Spoiler.
Nope.
Right?
Yep.
So the main event for this one saw Triple H defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg. And Triple H freaking retained the championship, defeating Goldberg in the Elimination Chamber match, leaving him a battered and bloody mess. In a decision that even back then everyone hated, and with the power of hindsight, people still hate. That should have been Goldberg's title win at SummerSlam the previous month. Right? And then Triple H and Saw get interviewed backstage. I know I said we're going to do this, but Triple H did make a fairy tales reference. He goes, oh yeah, once upon a time, there was this noble knight who defeated all the dragons he came across. And then one day he fell asleep, and then he woke up in the real world. And you know what happened to this knight? He got his ass kicked. He goes, I don't believe in fairy tales. I believe in the real world, reality. And the reality is, Goldberg's going to get his ass kicked. Or whatever he said. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, the stipulation.
And this was where, because Stone Cold Steve Austin made it where if there was any interference,
if Triple H got disqualified or counted out, Triple H
got disqualified, count out, or if Ric Flair was ringside, then he would lose his title
However, if Goldberg were to lose, Goldberg's career would be over.
Yes.
And at this point, Triple H came out first as a World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, at this point, freaking Triple H was World Heavyweight Champion for 11 years at this point.
And he was wearing spandex shorts.
Yeah, to apparently freaking protect an injured groin, a groin tear that he had at this point. All right.
Yep.
And of course, Goldberg then came out making his long entrance from the back that he usually does. Right?
Yep.
And of course, this match Goldberg was on the defensive early at this. It was not defensive, he was on the offensive early in this match, but Triple H freaking fought back a bit. At one point in the main event here, Triple H got busted open. I don't entirely remember how that happened. Do you?
Yeah, he fucking got Goldberg literally one arm fucking threw his ass into the steel steps and then pounded his head into it and busted him open.
But then Triple H tried to fight back, including at one point trying to get the sledgehammer when the referee's down, but he ate spear. Right?
Yes.
But then at one point, Triple H countered another spear with his face breaker knee smash, only to attempt a pedigree, but freaking Goldberg freaking countered and nailed and kicked Triple H in the stomach after another spear, right?
Yes.
And then Goldberg was able to perform the jackhammer and get the pinfall win, ending Triple H's 5 billion year reign as world champion at this point.
Yes.
In all reality, Triple H was the champion since December of 2002, but we all know what happened during this reign that most people don't want to remember, right?
Yes, and which is also wrote Triple H off for a little while to get the torn groin surgery
fixed with surgery. Triple H still appeared on TV while in the middle of having this groin surgery. He was the top villain on Raw, but he wasn't in any wrestling capacity until November.
Yes.
2 months later when he had his rematch against Goldberg at Survivor Series. But but it was during Triple H's second reign as world champion, which this one was. Triple H had those terrible matches with Scott Steiner, an unforgivable feud with Booker T, a hidden gem feud with Kevin Nash, unmasked Kane, and of course was the first one to pin Goldberg in a WWE ring at SummerSlam prior.
It was also the cringe factor with it when he had that time when it came to Kane's imaginary girlfriend.
Oh, that was his first reign, but those two reigns were so close to each other, you might as well lump it into one. Right? Either way, that was
second reign.
Well, that was technically Triple H's first reign. He did lose it a month later at Survivor Series, but regained it in December the following month.
Yes.
But either way, you could still kind of lump it in because Triple H was only without the championship for a month. If it wasn't for him losing at Survivor Series, it would have been a straight over a year as champion with all that lumped into it anyway.
He fucking it was a Katie Vick angle, which no one wants to remember.
You just made everyone remember it by bringing it up. By the way, how'd you like that No Mercy 02 review that we did?
Fuck off.
But anyway, your thoughts on this main event from bell to bell with Goldberg winning his first world title in WWE at this point?
It was good. He got revenge for
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam and the chamber match, which Triple H thought he would be safe in, and then Goldberg just fucking burst right through the plexiglass because it was fucking supposed to be bulletproof, and then he just fucking kicks it.
Yep. I thought this match was a decent main event for bell to bell, I'm not saying it was a good Goldberg match and it's not a good Triple H match. It felt like it was there to be there, but everybody was heavily cheering Goldberg because they knew Triple H's latest reign as world champion, that stranglehold, was done for now. Right?
Yes.
After months and months of freaking Triple H just being dominant and keeping the title no matter what. Right?
Yep.
So yeah, that being said, that's our review of Unforgiven 2003. Now we go to our favorite part of the review segment here, and that's our rating system and final grade. The Dudley Boys defeating La Resistance in that handicap tables match to win the World Tag Team titles. I gave that one 3 3/4 out of 5.
4.
Test defeating Scott Steiner to win the managerial services of Stacy Keibler, and Scott Steiner becoming Test property. Whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5.
3.
Randy Orton defeating Shawn Michaels in that Legend versus Legend killer match. I only gave it 2.5 out of 5.
Which one?
Randy Orton defeating Michaels. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5.
3.5.
Trish Stratus and Lita defeating Molly Holly and Gail Kim in that tag team match. I gave that one 3 out of 5.
4.
Kane defeating Shane McMahon in that last man standing match. No debate. 5 out of 5.
5 and a zillion.
Basically the same thing. Full max score. Christian defeating Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho in that triple threat match to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I gave that one 3 3/4 out of 5.
3.
Al Snow and the coach, Jonathan Coachman, defeating Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler in the Battle of the Commentators. 0 out of 5.
Half.
That's being generous. In the main event, which saw Goldberg defeat Triple H to win the World Heavyweight Championship, I gave that one also 3 3/4 out of 5.
5.
So my personal final grade for Unforgiven 2003 is a solid C.
C minus.
So yeah, if you're gonna go back and watch at least one match out of this show, I would recommend Al Snow and Coach and Jerry Lawler. I'm just fucking kidding. I would recommend the Last Man Standing match with Shane and Kane.
Well, 2 matches would be Triple H and Shane and Kane.
So yeah, Triple H Goldberg, if you want to study Triple H or Goldberg's rise in WWE with his first world title reign. And of course, Shane and Kane's Last Man Standing freaking chaotic brawl.
Yes.
So yeah, that's our thoughts. That's our thoughts on Unforgiven 2003. Oh God, and here we go. I know I'm going to regret this, and I usually do. And earlier, before we even started recording, you kind of freaking alluded to this. Fuck. But next week is your pick for what we review on the classic pay-per-view review segment here. So goddamn, pick your poison. What are you going to have us freaking watch next week? I'm already regretting it.
No Way Out 2012.
Motherfucker, wasn't that the one that had John Cena in the Big Show steel cage match?
Yes, it was the end of People Power. What made you sad?
That didn't make me sad. I was actually happy about that.
That made you sad.
And of course, if I remember correctly, that was also the event where we had CM Punk defend the WWE title against Daniel Bryan and Kane.
Yes.
For the WWE Championship in the storyline that involved crazy AJ Lee.
Yes.
go figure that one out. Especially the part of the storyline where Punk was like, I dig crazy chicks. A little foresight into the future there, buddy.
Yes.
So, yeah, those are like the only two matches I remember from that event. I really don't remember much else.
Christian versus Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship that he won at
Extreme Rules.
It wasn't Extreme Rules.
Cody Rhodes won the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules, though.
Christian.
Cody Rhodes defeated freaking Big Show to win the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules 2012.
Yes, but Christian won the title when he came back
the following month, and then I guess this was Cody Rhodes' rematch for that belt.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand.
Because he won an impromptu people-powered champions elimination match.
And then defeated Cody Rhodes at the pay-per-view prior to No Way Out.
Yes, because everyone thought that he was going for Santino's
U.S.
Also, it was we also got to see it on the 2012 No Way Out. Ricardo Rodriguez versus Santino Marella in a tuxedo match where we get to see Alberto Underoos.
I already know what match I'm giving a 0 then. Thank you in advance for telling me. Is it bad I haven't even watched the event and I already know that match is getting 0? So yeah, anyway, we get to review freaking goddamn No Way Out 2012, which strangely took place in the month of June instead of February, so yeah.
June 17th.
Exactly, so so yeah. Look forward to that next week, and we will talk to you all later. Peace.
It's his favorite match.
No.
He leaves very sad that John Laurinaitis lost his people power. He wanted him to stay in power so much.
You can go fuck yourself. That being said, we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.